Councillors, it's 2:15. We're just going to do a roll call. Can we start with those councillors that are connecting via Zoom? Councillor Hector and Councillor Skippers, are you in the meeting?
Present, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor. Then I'm missing Councillor Chengwa. But I think we can proceed. We were still at section C, C1, the appointment of APEC members. And then the DA asked for a multi-party caucus, asked for a caucus. So, Mr. Mayor, if you want to give us feedback.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we are known for being very reasonable and being open to constructive engagement and discussions. And Madam Speaker, I must say that the issues raised, we take those issues to heart. You know, one is to be very objective when people refer to legislation, when they refer to charters. And we felt that the fact that we were not exposed to those charters at the time, and we also not the kind of council that put officials on the spot for wanting them to answer things immediately if we are not exposed to some of the documentation in front of us. I am also convinced, Madam Speaker, that the officials are more than able to explain the whole charter matter to us in every regulations that goes with it. But then again, we as councillors, we need to have that in front of us. So for that reason, Madam Speaker, we propose that this item being withdrawn and be brought back as soon as possible to council with all these relevant documentation that was being referred to, like the charter and anything else that would give us the ammunition for, what's the word? For a decision. Thank you. Informed decision, yes. Thank you.
Before you, Elder Lady Rahona.
Thank you, Honorable. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Yes, I agree with the Mayor, but now we also have time to explore furthermore to attract competent people for the what is it now? Yeah, niet met je APEC for the internal audit committee. So we've got no some time to do that. And I also want to say, Honorable Speaker, that the two persons they recommend are highly competent when it comes to audit, like the one guy is marketing, he's got IT, the other one is finance and stuff like that. So yes, Advocate or Mr. Municipal Manager, you've got no time to headhunt him again, and that will receive a fully completed report regarding this. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Elder Lady Dragoner, before Councillor Lechaba, and then I will allow you.
Thank you, Madam. For me, thank you for the drawing of this. I think it shows that Council is able to apply its mind in terms of such matter, and then until we get further things and so forth. So it's a good way of us checking ourselves that we are doing the right thing or not. Also, if ever we are doing headhunting, this is a plea that headhunting must be done within our region, within our spaces. I'm sure we're capable people in terms of George, Mosobe, what, you know, but we must be able to also to ensure that Council and everybody else is given that opportunity, so that we're saying that we cannot find people, therefore this is the way we should go, so that we know now when we are headhunting, we are also trying to pull up the people to be able to be part of the process. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Just for the record purposes, I did grant leave to Councillor Kannemeyer as well as to Councillor Tauti, so they also no longer in the meeting. Councillor Elder Lady Kritzinger and then Alderman Gericke.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would just like to withdraw the recommendation that I've made. And then I want to second the recommendation that the mayor has made. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Gericke.
Yeah, Speaker, thank you. I think it's a first baptized for the new Chief Whip of Council. It's a good baptism day for you, Madam Chief Whip. So, Mayor, through the Speaker, thank you very much that you have applied your mind. I think let us give credit where credit is due. And it's mature politics. And I want to overemphasize it is mature politics. When we can reason and we can debate and then we can understand one another. I just want to caution some of the colleagues in a very friendly way. I know that you're talking about headhunt comrades and within the borders of the Southern Cape and so on. Remember in the previous term, we had a workshop here with regard to the appointment policy, and there was this thing that we must consider people within the borders of the Western Cape. Remember, we are not busy establishing a homeland here. We must go over the borders. If people in Limpopo have this expertise, let them come in, Mr. Mayor, because our people are working all over in Johannesburg and in Durban and all over. So just a friendly caution, let us not establish a homeland within a homeland. We are already in a homeland in the Western Cape, but let us we live in a democratic South Africa. Thank you, Mr. Lambertje. Dan jou uitvoering. Baie dankie.
Mr. Menzi.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Menzi, my apologies. Councillor Hector.
Yes, Speaker. Thank you very much. I think Council can go back now to practice our due diligence in that we will look into the suitability of the specific candidate for the position, the term of office in line with the Audit Committee charter, the relevant expertise required on the Audit Committee, seeing that there is no finance or technical skills amongst others on the committee. Currently, yes, Speaker, the process should also include headhunting or normal recruitment for local capacity, which I as a councillor know that we have in the Garden Route district municipality. Thank you, Speaker.
Mr. Mayor, and can I ask, before Mr. Menzi is going to be the last person, any other hands? Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we ended this engagement midstream when we asked for a caucus. Mr. Loliwe was still on the floor, and I don't want this to seem as if we have just discarded him. Maybe we should let him give his input as well as the author of the article, and then the acting MM can then come in.
Yes, I was drawn, yes. Yes. Mr. Menzi, Mr. Menzi, we, as you heard, the elder lady, we've received a proposal and it was seconded by elder lady Kritzinger. Yes, thank you.
I wouldn't be doing justice as the acting municipal manager if I don't advise councillors. As the item is pegged, there are two recommendations. Currently, now we've got Mr. Maharaj, who's an audit committee member. And then that would mean if we don't take at least the first recommendation, then we will sit as an institution without audit committee members. And then that will be an non-compliance on our side. So that's the advice that I wanted to say, that we take note of the decision that has been taken. And then I would make a plea to say that if council can consider at least the first recommendation, and then we defer the second recommendation up until we bring all the necessary information. Thank you.
Mayor. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, there's a reason why there's a municipal manager. It is to advise council. We are not the fundies, and we're not here to blow on our own horns. If the advice is that's the route we should go, then it's on record. We will then go with that advice, because we also don't want to be, what's the word, non-compliant, etc. So I would then say then, we go with the first part of the recommendations, and the latter part, that needs to come back to council.
Alderman Gericke.
With a loud voice, supported. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lechaba.
Thank you. Then it means then we need to be satisfied of the questions that we imposed. There were questions that we imposed and you didn't get the answer of those things.
Mr. Menzi, you are nodding your head. So when will that be answered?
That's my mind. Because mine, I was next in line.
Sorry,
But I will speak.
Elder lady, we're going to move on now. Elder lady.
No. Honorable Speaker, will the mayor please withdraw his first decision and then
Yes,
we can accept the other one.
as was
Mentioned by Mr. Menzi.
Menzi.
Yes, the first part.
The first part, and your second part was seconded by Alderman Gericke.
Madam Speaker, this is a real political school for the rest of the other municipalities in the Garden Route. I hereby withdraw my first proposal.
Thank you.
Speaker, this question here, we must at all times have an audit committee. And of course, I will assume that they must meet. But here's the thing, and I want to talk about timelines. Is that council also must appoint an audit committee chair. That 3 audit members can't appoint themselves. So how is the audit committee going to be? Just a question.
Mayor.
Madam Speaker, again, we as councillors, we can even meet 12 o'clock at night. We not prescribed to, we should meet between 11 and 12. If there's an emergency tonight we meet virtually.
Okay, councillors, we've got a proposal, the withdrawal from the mayor, and then we've got the seconder in the form of Alderman Gericke, but now Mr. Tembani's hand is also up. So, Mr. Tembani, we want to proceed. We want to step off this item. Tembani.
Thank you, Speaker. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. I'll be quick, Speaker, and I do apologize. I've been having a problem with the network. I think there were questions that were answered. I think Councillor Lechaba referred them that they have not been answered. If I can maybe get an opportunity to answer the questions that were asked by the councillors before the executive mayor asked for a caucus.
Mr. Tembani, we've already had a proposer and a seconder on this item. Will it be possible for you to give that answers when it comes back? Because we've only accepted the first recommendation.
Thank you, Speaker. That will be noted.
Madam Speaker, may I propose, because if Tembani is sitting with legal answers to this, we need to give him an opportunity. We should not do those because it's been seconded. We might second, propose and second, and we don't have all the legal facts. So if Mr. Tembani wants to re-guide us, we should allow him. And if he's out of order, we'll tell him he's out of order.
Why is your mic now echoing? Maya, is it?
Chair,
Yes.
just on a point of order.
Alderman.
No point of order, please. This council has bestowed authority on Mr. Luzanda Menzi as the acting municipal manager. He then informed council about the way forward. I'm not ruling out that the relevant official must not speak, but I mean the acting MM, the authority has already spoken, has given us guidance in this regard, and I understand that there's some outstanding questions. In terms of my understanding, the mere fact that even you as the DA component came back and withdrew the proposal and then changed it into the first proposal on grounds of what the acting municipal manager said, that in itself is an exemption won't say an admission, I'm going to use a smart word, an exemption of the then questions. In other words, it's falling away now, we're moving forward. This is my understanding. So what is in dispute now is only the second recommendation. And most of the questions revolved around the second recommendation. And this is what the mayor has said. They will then go back and procure the insight of the officials in that regard and then come back to the council. This is what I understand.
Councillor Lechaba.
Thank you, ma'am. I think we also had question in the first one. I think I remember that Councillor Toto explanation, and also yes, and also what are the possibilities of when it's supposedly be the audit committee being established. I think also those things are important for us so that we can understand what time are we, I mean, for that effect, if let's say one falls off, there will be 3. Again, that's not an audit committee. There must be 4. And then after that, then there needs to be the establishment. So what are the timelines so that we know?
Acting Imam, through you. And I allow Mr. Tembani then to clear that. Thank you. Mr. Tembani.
Thank you, Chair. Speaker, the first question was around the recruitment of the members and whether we don't have sufficient members within the region, why we are headhunting instead of following the recruitment process. The answer to that is that we did advertise twice as per the item. We all the local members had an opportunity to apply. So after we could not get any, it's only then we went out and get members from outside the region. And the benefit of the current situation is that our audit committees now are meeting virtually. So there are no travel costs at this stage. So we can get any skills anywhere in the country. But of course, we would have loved to get the members from within the garden route because they will have also an interest in what is happening within our region. Then I think the term of office of the members in terms of legislation, are we allowed to extend the term of office in terms of MFMA? It's not specific, but there's a circular 65, which gives a term of 3 years, subject to further extension by another 3 years. Then you should have a cooling off period of 2 years, then you can be reappointed again. And I can say that the chairperson, the current chairperson, her term is more than that, but based on the motivation that we've put in and the skills that we require, then that's what we motivated for her to be part of the committee again for another 2 years. But again, I don't want to dwell on too much on that one because that might have to come back again. But I think those two, in terms of the why we headhunt instead of the process of recruitment and the term, I think it's those I've explained. Councillor Lechaba, in terms of the minimum requirements of the MFMA, it's 3 members. So if the council now go with the recommendation number 1, we will continue to have 3 members, even without the chairperson. So we'll still comply, but of course, ideally we would want to have 5 members, but in terms of law, we'll still comply with 3 members. Thank you very much.
Councillor Lechaba. Before you, Elder Lady Draguna.
What I want to say that the quorum for the internal audit is 3 and the whole amount is 5. Okay? So ek wil net vir Councillor Lechaba through you, Honorable Speaker, to antwoord die ultimo.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So you see the experience, we've got lots of experience, Maya, as you've mentioned in the room. Mr. Menzi.
There was one question that Mr. Lawyer did not cover, the one that you asked Government De Vries with regards to Mr. Dipena vis-a-vis the accounting. We do have Mr. Maharaj, who's a chartered accountant with the committee already. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lechaba.
No,
Sorry. Wait, first, Councillor Lechaba. Councillor Lechaba.
Okay, thank you. Because you see, we need to be, that's why we talked about this headhunting. We do not want also things to be exploited in this manner. It was explained that in this particular two vacancies and position, it was for LLB and also for accounting. That's why you headhunt. You are going through a specific space because you want that skill. Now, when you have now, in the case of, I don't want to talk about the name, but I'm talking about the incumbent that is going to come that doesn't have exclusively those skills that we've been talking about, then there is a problem. Because that means we are exploiting that particular phrase of headhunting. Because if what we're asking is that the first one, it was for LLB, right? And then they said is the LLB. The second one is dependent means that the skill is supposed to be for accounting. Those are the ones that were headhunted. So how come now we have been told that no, there are skills now is Mr. Marat, because it doesn't fall within that ambit of headhunting. These two were headhunted. I think now we have to define very strict how we do this headhunting. Let us not then exploit, because from where I'm sitting, if that is not the qualification of Mr. Dipena to be an accountant, then it's an exploitation of headhunting. Let him speak.
Elder Lady, Dragona.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As the advocate stated that Mr.
Maraj.
got financial background and stuff like that. I know that you all also need IT and marketing on your audit committee, and Mr. Dapana got extensive experience where it comes to marketing as well as IT. Just to make a calculator, just a bit lighten up, because we've got the one skill and now we've got two skills. But the two people that we appointed is two other skills which we also needed at the audit committee. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Mr. Menzi. Can we proceed now? That's why I'm
Okay. No, I'll just, Ms. Lufena is going to provide the context around the headhunting and as to why Mr. Dipenar was chosen. Thanks.
proceed, Pam.
Thank you, Chair. The headhunting was done for the LLB. We had Advocate Block who was contracted with us, and his contract ended last year in October. We requested council for permission to recruit another member that has LLB experience, because we had to balance the skill sets within our audit committee. We placed an advert in September in our municipal website and other social medias. 4 applicants applied and only one person. In fact, just to go back a bit, the council, when they approved our recruitment, it was emphasized that we needed to ensure the balance in terms of equity. When we assessed our equity, it was evident that we needed a Black female or a male, but preferably a female. So when we went out on recruitment in September, we had 4 people that responded to our advert, and only 1 Black female had applied. We interviewed the candidate, but we deemed her not to be competent. We then spread our recruitment in terms of the regional newspapers, and we obtained 8 applicants. And from the 8, there was no Black female or male that fitted both the LLB status as well as audit committee experience. That is when then we requested from the municipal manager an approval to headhunt for a Black female or a male that has LLB and audit committee experience. We then had a number of people that we had in mind, both within the region and outside. And I think one of the things that was our disadvantage in terms of the regional is that we also have a panel of attorneys, and some of the Black females were in the panel of attorneys, meaning there was a conflict of interest already. We could not appoint a person that serves in the panel of attorneys that could potentially do business with our municipality. That is why we could not take any of those local Black females that we had envisaged. That is what led us to then obtaining someone that was further on, that had no business with Garden Road District Municipality, but because of the fact that Mr. Lulu said that our meetings are basically virtually lately, and Mr. Maharaj, even who's a member of our audit committee, is sitting in Sandton. So we are open to acquiring skills that is all over South Africa that will not impact Garden Road District municipalities in terms of finances. Mr. Tipanar was not headhunted. What happened is in January, after all this process took place of how we are coming about with the name of Advocate Mthunzi, as I've said that we went through 2 recruitment processes. Understanding the financial impact, I think we paid over 75,000 Rand for a regional advertisement where we obtained 7 applicants. Now, which was not foreseen, the fact that one of our audit committee members was going to fall ill, and for that reason, he resigned in January. We thought we will then have to incur another 75,000 Rand of advertising for another audit committee member, and we thought it was a good decision to make, not to go through another financially straining process, but rather to look at the candidates that have already shown interest in Garden Road District Municipality, whether we will find another skill that we might need. The item would specify that although Mr. Steenekamp that has resigned was a finance fundi, but we already have Mr. Maharaj, who is a finance fundi. So we looked for someone else who would have other expertise that we will find necessary for Garden Road District Municipality. We are bringing the name of Mr. Alvin Tipanar because he has other skills that we do not have within the skill sets of Garden Road District Municipalities Audit Committee. He has ITP skills, he has policy formulation, and MFMA presenter within our region. That is the reason, because we had to have at least 3 members that are in our audit committee, as we all understand that the 4th member, who is Dr. Potgieter's contract, is bound to expire at the end of March. And that would mean that if her contract is expiring, we would only have 2 members. And the reason that we are expediting the recruitment of the 3rd member, which is Mr. Tipanar, is because of that fact. But Mr. Tipanar was not headhunted. We looked through the applicants that we had received that showed interest in Garden Road District Municipality, and that is how we are recruiting his name. But the only headhunting process that took place was that of Advocate Mthunzi. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for that detailed explanation, Pam. Thank you. So you are covered now. Thank you. So can we now proceed? Can we just come back to our recommendation so that we can be clear on what the recommendation is? So that is then that council approves the appointment of Advocate Mthunzi and Mr. A.B.J. Tipanar as members of APEC, effect 1st March 2022 to 28th February 2025. Is that what we are saying, Maya? Because you proposed it and it was seconded by Alderman Gerke.
Yes, you're correct, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. So can we proceed now? Thank you very much. That was a very nice debate, making sure that we do appoint the correct people and that council get the correct information to make an informed decision. C2, extension of Tunimart contract for the provision of traveling and accommodation services. The item is on page 244 to page 269. Mr. Menzi, are you going to take us through this? Maya, will you first want to speak before Mr. Menzi? I don't see any other.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
My apologies. Did you raise your hand? Councillor, are you raising your hand? No, first Maya and then Councillor Matika.
Now let's give Councillor Matika, Madam Speaker, because I don't want to bulldoze the meeting.
Councillor Matika. Let
Let me start, Madam Speaker. If that's the case. Let me start.
Proceed.
Madam Speaker, again, this is for the benefit of the new councillors. we had a history in the past of having deviations that used to run in the hundreds of thousands, and in some cases, probably close to millions as well. And when we analyzed our deviations and where it stemmed from, we then realized that the majority of our deviations came from traveling. It was especially the roads department. The roads department, when they work outside of our boundaries, they need to sleep over. And sometimes those telephone calls comes in on within 24 hours. And also the fact that we're also assisting the Central Karoo District Municipality. So the guys travel, they're gone the whole week, it's short notice, and then it must be a deviation because we didn't have enough time to book accommodation, etc., etc. Council then agreed that one way of dealing with these deviations is to take that out of our books. Because in the private sector, they can do anything within 5 minutes. We must have 5 days notice, and we normally don't have that. A tender went out and this company won the tender. Now, what then happened is that whilst they were starting to execute their duties, our deviations dropped dramatically. So again, it was good news for internal auditing and for external auditing. Then COVID hit. And with COVID, we didn't travel, we didn't do a lot of things. And this item, in my opinion, is for us to show that we are a caring government. These people did not go the full mile whilst they've started on a good footing with us. This is just to show that we do encourage up and coming businesses. But after this, we will go the normal process. Thank you.
Councillor Matika.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, as the ANC, we are not happy with the extension, especially within the gas supply chain. And we believe that the reasons are not quite enough for us to extend that for a year. And we'll propose that, and we recommend that within 6 months, at least if we extend, let's extend within 6 months. Then we allow administration to finalize all the supply chain process within 6 months. Because we strongly believe one of the explanation is talking about possibility of going out to tender for the whole district. We believe that that might take a year or two with our experience in terms of the landfill side, which some of the municipalities are not coming to the party. We are not sure how the other municipalities are operating. And we are not even sure some of their supply chain tender process in terms of appointing how far, when are the tender going to lapse, or when are the tender going to be finished. Thank you very much.
Councillor Chaba and then Alderman Gericke.
Thank you. I think my comrade, my colleague, I think what we are trying to bring across is that we do understand what has happened. It's not like we do not have the sympathy of what has all our people in business that they underwent when it was the pandemic period and they suffered the loss and everything. However, we also have the responsibility of oversight and doing things, because the question is that in terms of this process, why so much time, the time frame? Because now you are saying you want an extension. An extension from where I'm sitting, it should be at least 3 months, up to 6 months, that is better. Because if you had as the process of procurement, it should have been part of your planning in any event. The planning, critical planning of all your processes to say, this is going to expire at this time. When council comes, you give them 3 months. Why they're here? Why so long? Because we also need to be considering that we must be seen to be open. We must be seen to be giving everybody opportunity. And then those who win based on whatever experiences and all those things, they can have those opportunities. That's what we present.
Alderman Gericke.
Speaker, yeah, I'm not going to repeat what anybody else has said, but here we're dealing with what we call in the Municipal Finance Management Act, you call it contract management. So the relevant authorities working with the contracts should have foreseen this. I take cognizance of what is happening, 2 paragraphs on page 247. The one deals with COVID, and the other one deals with the local municipalities that were not compliant and so on. But that is not an excuse. The term is too long. If we are really in a crisis, we should be able to conclude this within the following 3 months, out on a tender, through the bidding process and so on. Because you see, if you extend for 1 year, you are actually replacing this extension with a competitive bidding process, and you cannot do it. It's illegal and it's irregular, and it's actually corrupt. It cannot be done that way. The bidding process should be a competitive bidding process, and all other guys should be invited to participate in this process. That's in terms of the MFMA. And then we do not even have the monetary value of what we're talking about here. We don't know whether we're talking about 1,000 or 100,000 rand and so on, because the amount will determine what type of process, whether you can just embark on an RFQ, which is a request for quotation, or whether you're going to go on an informal tender or on a formal bidding process. So we don't have that information at the moment. We need to understand this. But I would propose, together with Councillor Lechaba, that we minimize this to 3 months, and then that the finance department embark on a bidding process, whichever it should be, and then it can come back. They can start getting things together, Mr. Mayor, to the Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Speaker.
Yes, you may
The
proceed.
screen is in the way.
Yeah. We will do something about it for the next meeting, Councillor.
Thank you. Speaker, no, I want to come to the formal proposal. I think our chief would have talked about 3 to 6 months, but the proposal by Councillor Patika in terms of 6 months, because in the process normally just for the advert is going to take a month. I know in terms of our own supply chain processes. The reasons, as my colleagues have said, Speaker, in terms of the municipalities, yes, it's something that can, but it's not something that's going to happen soon. But the one about COVID, it can be a dangerous precedent that we set. There will be other suppliers who argue the same and say, because of COVID, I haven't made any money out of, especially your suppliers, that we normally, or others that are on the panel. And we might just set a dangerous precedent to say, because of COVID, that we want to extend the contract. Thank you.
I see, and I don't know if it is now Councillor Skippers, because Councillor Hector said that he's going to leave the meeting, for which I've given permission, but he said that Councillor Skippers is going to proceed with his device. So, Councillor Skippers, is it you?
Ja, Madam Speaker, dankie vir die geleentheid. Madam Speaker, eerstens, die kontrak, sy extension van die 1 jaar se versoek, is buitensporig. Dan tweedens, waarom het die munisipaliteit 'n volle jaar nodig om moontlikhede te ondersoek en weer op tender uit te gaan? Dit strook glad nie met die SEM doelwitte van mededingende bord nie. Derdens, is die ontneming van werkskepping, is dit nie ontneming van werkskepping nie. As 'n kostesanalis gedoen om te kyk of interne werkskepping om interne werkskepping vas te stel van die diensverskaffers nie meer voordelig sal wees. 'n Ander opsie is ook om 'n paneel van diensverskaffers aan te stel om soveel moontlike ekonomiese deelname en ontwikkeling te bevorder. Die feit dat dit meer as een verskaffer is, kan ook tot effek hê dat die munisipaliteit meer en goedkoper dienslewering kan ontvang. Elke versoek is uniek en onafhanklik van die ander, so dit is dus uiters moontlik. 4. Die maatskappy is in Oor-London Waar is ons plaaslike ekonomiese bevordering? Dit is dan van die Eden distriksmunisipaliteit se grootste doelwitte in die distrik. Dan nie. Vyfdens, I just want to understand the process in terms of section 116/3. The municipal is extending the contract with this resolution to be taken. Then the local community will be given notice of this proposed action and be given the opportunity to submit representation of which the recommendation does not contain the latter part. What is the impact of the representation of council already extended the contract? In this case, that these representation are negative and have to be investigated. Ons moet maar besluit. That is all what I want to say.
Thank you, Councillor Skippers. Can you translate the first part, please, Bonnie?
Speaker, umasipala zakufika ukwandisa esi sivumelwano esithola sonyaka. Ukwenza njalo ke umasipala kavumelana neenkqubo ze-supply chain management. Kutheni ungamisela ke iqela labanikezi beenkonzo abanamava ukujongana nalo mba. Inkampani yaseMonti iinkampani ezilapha ukuze kuphuhliswe amashishini asakhulayo njengokufuna ngumthetho. Ngosi.
Thank you. Mr. Meyer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm going to go back in history. When the tender initially came out, it was open to the whole of South Africa. The local standard, everybody tendered. This company won the tender. And even in the previous item, we've dealt with that in terms of we can't be confined when we won South Africa. Then, Madam Speaker, we refer to why is it taking so long? We have history when it comes to supply chain matters where you think, because legislation says that it must be finalized within 3 months, you need to add when people start objecting and all of that, you need to take all of that into account. Experience has showed us that these things don't even take less than 8 months to get to finality. But what I want to remind Council, it is not the first time that this municipality has extended contracts. And we should not get, I should not get the feel here that we're playing the man and not the ball. And I'm going to make an example. We have extended the Mossel Bay contract more than 5 times in this municipality. More than 5 times, and reason were given, and even back then, that's the issue. And when the president speaks, state of the nation, state of the province, everybody's saying that we should be caring governments, and caring means when people are hampered, we need to extend the hand. So I stick with this item, Madam Speaker, and I would propose that we go with this item. And the learning curve here for the officials and the contract management concept that came out is to get this done within this period. Thank you.
Mr. Menzi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I've taken note of the comments. Mr. Loliwe would want to share the details around some and clarify some of the other issues that were raised by the councillors. Thank you.
I don't know, we've got the TM if he wants to say something, but he is not raising his hand, but it's also not muted. So I don't know if you want to add through you, acting MM.
No.
Okay. So we've got 2 on the table. We've got the one as it is in the agenda on page 245, and then we've got the recommendation from Councillor Matika that we must go for 6 months. Neither of these proposals was seconded. So can I just get Alderman?
Speaker, just to remind you, I did say that I second formally.
Thank you.
proposal. I just want to allow me just to the executive player. We understand the reasons and we understand the issue about supply chain, about deviations that we want. We are supporting the reasons why we want to do that. We are just, and we also agree with local content. We can't create our own local content here. It's illegal in terms of the M&A. So we know it's 90-10 and all those other things. But we just thought that 6 months would be enough for the official thing.
Second for the mayor's proposal. Deputy. So can we now get, we have to vote unfortunately. All those in favor of Councillor Matika's proposal for the 6 months seconded by Councillor De Vries, can you raise your hands? Administration, please assist with the counting. Can I
Madam
get a
Speaker,
Yes, Councillor Skippers.
Madam
Are you also
Speaker,
raising your hand?
net clarity hier, Madam Speaker. Ek het my hand gereis voordat daar oorgegaan word na die volgende aksie toe. Net op dat wat die meier geantwoord het, Madam Speaker, dat daar 5 keer uitgestel was. Nou, impact het baie werk om te doen hier. Want die sake sal moet geondersoek word. Two wrongs doesn't make something right. Impact sal die issues moet ondersoek.
Councillor Skippers, are you voting? The proposal of Councillor Matika, seconded by Councillor De Vries, that it be only 6 months. Councillor Skippers.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, Councillor Skippers.
Madam Speaker, kan jy nie hoor?
Ja.
Madam Speaker, op dit wat my hand was opgewees alvorens ons oorgegaan het na die voting.
We are voting now, so I just want to know, are you voting? We've got 2 proposals. We've got the one on page 245, as well as one from Councillor Matika of the ANC that was seconded by Councillor De Vries, that it mustn't be 1 year but 6 months. So we are now voting. So I want to know, are you in favor or not of the proposal of Councillor Matika?
Nee, Madam Speaker.
Excuse toch, ek het nie nou
Ek dink, Madam Speaker, ek dink u verstaan my verkeerd.
Ons verstaan u heeltemal reg, dat u sê dat impact moet dit ondersoek. Maar wat ek vir u sê is dat ons is nog besig om te stem. Let me first finish with Councillor Skippers.
Nee, ek gaan nie stem nie, Madam Speaker.
Baie dankie. Baie dankie, Councillor Tot. Councillor Totu. Councillor Totu.
Just had the councillor mentioning 2 wrongs. Just wanted to be clarified on those 2 wrongs. Who are these 2 wrongs? Where are they?
Councillor, I don't think we're going to entertain that. We're busy with the voting process. We've got Councillor Skippers that is on Zoom, he's abstaining, and we've got 11 votes. Am I correct? 11 in favor of Councillor Matika. All those against Councillor Matika's proposal, can you raise your hands, please? Suppose that is in support of the mayor's proposal, that it goes with the recommendation on page 245. Can you count, please? Oh, sorry, ek moet nog vote. Councillor Chengwai, ongelukkig het jy my voting proses gemis. All those against the mayor's proposal? Against the mayor's proposal? It must now be 12. Are you not voting, Councillor Lechaba? Can you counsel me, please? And then the abstention of Councillor Skippers. So the proposal of the mayor is carrying. So we go with the proposal as it is on page 245. Thank you, councillors. That's how you leer, Councillor Tengwa. You're missing out on opportunities here. Therefore, the deviation report, it's on page 270 to page 275. Inputs, councillors? Yes, Alderman.
Ja, ek gaan Afrikaans praat. Ek het nogal gewonder. Hoekom is Daniels hier vandag nie binne is nie? By die meeting, ek sien die paai loop weer hoog hier met die deviations. Baie hoog. Maar ons ons gaan dit maar los vir Raadslid Labadien se komitee. Baie dankie.
Thank you. Ronnie.
Solomon Ngozi, lenze Afrikaans
So can we go with the recommendations on page 270? Can I get a proposal and a seconder? Councillor Barker.
Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Seconder for Councillor Barker. Dankie, Councillor Lambert-Jean. Sorry, Councillor, you must. Yeah, and work of state, now we're going to deal with this thing. I can't look over it. Sorry, my apologies. So we're going with that recommendation as proposed by Councillor Barker and seconded by Councillor Lambert-Jean. Section E, we've already dealt with E1. E2, page 281 to page 341, that is our rules of order for the procedures and maintenance of order at meetings of GRDM Council 2020. Any inputs? Councillors, yes? All the ladies?
Madam Speaker, we have workshop these the rules of the rules of the House, the rules of order, and I want to propose that we accept the recommendation and that we go with the rules of order as it is at the moment, and with these two recommendations on page 281.
Councillor Lechaba.
No, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just wanted to say, I think we see the changes that we have spoken about in the cabinet. So
you are seconding. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, councillors. E3, notice received from SALGA regarding the national conference that's going to take place on the 2nd to the 4th of March, page 342 to page 352.
Fall it in.
Mr. Meyer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'd like to amend recommendation 2 on this article.
Page?
Page, what is the page? 342. 342.
343.
34.
What the top of 343?
Is that how it works?
Yes. Is jou blaaie nie dieselfde soos myne nie?
No, you guys are using a different gadget.
Okay, my apologies.
But it's recommendation 2, and let me just give a slight background for why I'll be proposing my amendment. I've realized, Madam Speaker and councillors, that I'm still a member of the National Executive of SALGA. I'm an NEC member up until that day of the conference, which means SALGA pays for my expenses. Now, because the municipality will not carry my expenses, I would then recommend that the deputy mayor, then being the third candidate from the Garden Route District Municipality, and we add Councillor Van Niekerk as Garden Route's third delegate, and I'm there on behalf of the NEC. Thank you.
Leona?
Yes, Madam Chair, I just want to sort of at the same time congratulate yourself and the Executive Mayor for Executive Mayor being a Deputy Chair for SALGA Provincial, Western Cape, and yourself as additional member. So I want to second the recommendation that has been made by the Mayor. Thank you.
Can I just get clarity on number 2 before I allow you, Councillor Lechaba? Is it correct that we say and the municipal manager? Doesn't it be the acting municipal manager, or doesn't that matter? Advocate?
Thank you, Speaker. No, It's just the office, so whoever is in that office at the time will go.
Councillor Lechaba?
I just wanted to know then in terms of the recommendation number 3, that does it mean now there's a change, or because you still going to
No, Madam Speaker, it doesn't change because it will be a handover right in the beginning of the conference. So when the handover is done, then I revert back as a voting delegate.
Thank you. So councillors, can we go with that recommendation? We've got the proposer and we've got the seconder.
on
Thank
the
you.
lighter note?
Yes.
We're hoping that that conference will be inclusive and no, protect me. Protect me. On the lighter note, it will be inclusive and everything. And when we come back, we need to be able to accommodate. That is the plea that SALGA must be seen. It must be an organization that accommodates all members of council. Thank you.
And councillors, just to add, Mayor asseblief man, just to add on to that, all of you have received an invite to link virtually to the conference. The only thing that SALGA expect from you, Mr. Mayor, is to do the Gerard, you must register on your own. You must go physically into, we will resend it if you would like it, we will resend you the link. Then all councillors can listen in and tune in via Zoom. Mr. Meyer, die vingertjie van jou gaan nog groot moeilikheid veroorsaak.
Apologies, Madam Speaker.
So we proceed to page E4. I don't know what is, you two mustn't sit like this. I don't know what's happening today, but there's something going on with Councillor Lechaba and the mayor today, because he's doing this and she's asking for protection. And E4, appointment of members to serve on the Garden Road District Health Council, page 353 to page 354. There's a recommendation that council approves the appointment of Elder Lady Rosina Reiters as representative of to the GRD District Health Council. Councillor Ona.
Mayor. Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to recommend that we accept the recommendation to appoint Elder Lady Reiters as member for the West Cape District or district slot. Thank you.
Councillor Barker.
I second recommendation.
Thank you. Are we all in agreement? Can we go with it? Thank you, councillors. Section F, reports from the community services update. Gerard, nou is dit seker jou beurt. Can you please make it as short as possible, Gerard?
Yes, Speaker, I'll be very quick. I did provide my slides to the Secretariat. She will provide it to all councillors. Just the good news is we are at the lowest we've been since the outbreak of the pandemic. On this wave, we're now on 546 active cases, with George in the lead at 229. Just to reflect on where we were, on the 27th of December, we peaked at 6,000, and last week we were on 681, now being on 546. What I also watch closely is the vaccinations. Our target is to get 85% of the population 50 plus fully vaccinated and 65% of the 18 to 49. At this point in time, the government is on 68.7% fully vaccinated 50 plus, with the county in the lead Knysna at 79.8% and followed by Nosova at 77.1%. When we look at the age group 18 to 49 years, at this point we are on 49% in total, and total being 65. And then Knysna is in the lead with 60.1%, followed by Nosova at 54.5%. That is in terms of vaccinations. I received, as we started with this meeting, I received the circular 2 from 2022 from the Department of Health. I will distribute this also to councillors, indicating now when the Pfizer boosters can be had. as well as that you can also have a boost of any other kind. So even if you have a Pfizer, you can get a J&J booster and vice versa. That is the latest update that I received. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gerard. Gerard, in the past, we used to get, I normally go to the GRDM Facebook page to see the week's schedule. Are we still doing that so that people can know where they can go?
It is available, Speaker, and we can speak to Herman when he's back, that he make it available to everyone again.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any questions for Gerald? If there are none, thank you. Sorry, Councillor Meyrand, my apologies.
Mr. Otter, just a point of clarity. For us to collate all these figures, obviously it takes a strain on what the personnel we've got. We're doing it for a long time, and it's time consuming and a strain on our resources. As the government lifts the state of disaster on COVID, does it mean we can seize this activity?
Councillor, yes, I hope so. I hope that you will allow me then to carry on with the other urgent matters. We do foresee that it would have been the last extension up until the 15th of March. And what we are doing now is we don't have any more weekly meetings. We've now got once a month meeting. I will speak to the Speaker if it's necessary for me to still provide these updates daily, and it is quite time consuming to put all these figures together.
Thank you. And then the last thing from my side, I've heard somewhere that at one or other stage, just going to get the boosters or to get your vaccine is going to be incorporated into the clinics.
Speaker, yes, as we speak, that's already being done. They become part of your normal health services, as COVID is now going to be dealt with as a normal health service like TV and etc. So that's going to become normal services.
But we will be informed.
You will be informed.
Thank you. Any other questions for Gerard? If there are none, then we'll proceed to section G. That is a progress report on the Madiba Road, page 365 to 368. Maya, are you going to speak on this? The Madiba Road? You went there for a site visit, if I can recall.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Indeed, councillors, I did go there because there was an item that was in the George Herald, and some people felt that probably we're not doing enough or quickly enough. So I went for a site visit, and really the guys are doing the best they can. It is major works that are happening there, so much so that they actually putting in some sort of a breach that was never there before, that will now be there because it is a water flash point. And there was engagements with the university. The university understand what's happening. The university was also on site. So we are happy with progress. But unfortunately, we must be aware that affects other roads, because all concentration now from the district is concentrating on all flood damages around the thingy. So roads like in Nice now, wherever, unfortunately might take a backseat. And Madam Speaker, now that I'm talking about roads, I need to say this. Councillor Tengwa have raised the issue of the Knysna Road since the last term. And Madam Speaker, to our surprise is that the roads department went to that road and the community stopped them. And on further investigation, the bulldozers and everything was there. And on further investigation, the reason why the community stopped it, we found that there are illegal electrifying of units there. Their cables are running under that road, and they then know that we are now going to damage their infrastructure. So it is a catch-22, Councillor Tengwa, because we can take the high route by enforcing, and that would lead to unintended consequences, because then we need to bring in facts, we need to do all sorts of things. So we now need to apply our minds. How do we deal with such matters going forward? Thank you.
Thank you, Maya. Councillor Tengwa.
Speaker, thank you very much. Speaker, I'm not quite sure, Mayor, which road did the roads department went to. I did engage with the chair. You know, he's not even sure. I'm not sure whether those guys went to Uniondale or Neckis. You know, nobody's able to tell me.
And the road which I'm constantly raising here, the road as well as the Congodia road, right? These two roads. And from where I'm sitting, in terms of the Congodia road, I'm still waiting for the team to come and pay the visit. So I'm not quite sure which part of the road. But nevertheless, Mayor, I think we need to take this debate outside this meeting, But I want to contest that the road which I'm constantly raising here. I've been waiting. I remember last week the chair gave me a call to say he is in Neisner and visiting with the provincial Department of Transport, And we never met there. I've waited for him, by the way. Thanks, Tamal. Thanks, Speaker.
Thank you. So, Mayor, thank you for that. And the chair is there at the back. So, Councillor is willing to take it out of this meeting. So, I think we must please, because it seems as if there is some confusion. Councillor Chengwa, if I can pick it up. So, councillors, can we get a proposal and a seconder? My apologies, Alderman Pierata.
Speaker, yeah, thank you. Can we just understand when do we foresee that the construction of the Madiba Road will be completed? Point number one. And secondly, Mr. Mayor, we need to draw lessons from what's happening here. We do understand it's flood damage, but if you take the veracity of the flood versus all the other roads in the area, you don't have such a big damage. But so, what is the actual thing there? But did the road deteriorate because it was never maintained? I know maybe you don't have the answer. I don't know if the roads director is here. If it deteriorated also because of the amount of traffic to the university, it brings into play the planning of the maintenance programs for the road. Because obviously, if your traffic increase, there must be an increased maintenance, Mr. Alderman, Mr. Councillor Gert van Niekerk. You've got to pull more teams and more resources and more logistics to that. So I don't know. We would love to hear that because these people from the university must now go all the way to Wilderness and come up there. And as you have rightfully said, is doing some other damage to other roads and other infrastructure. So how soon can we expect the road to be open, sir?
Mr. Menzi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. Daniels is online. I can see his hand is up, so he's going to respond to those questions.
Mr. Daniels.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much, Councillor, for that question. First of all, I must say the road deteriorated. It was the Armco barrier, what is a stormwater pipe, and it was a steel stormwater pipe that was put in on a lot of roads in the 80s. And that steel water pipe actually corroded underneath the road that was about 7 meters deep. And when the flash flood came of the 26th of November 2021, it actually took the pipe right underneath the road away. However, as everybody can see on what we're going to do, we're putting in 1.8 diameter pipes in now that weighs about 7 tons. It's concrete pipes, so that pipes can't corrode. And we foresee that we will be done with the project by mid-April. We should have been done by March. However, province changed the design of the project because it's now not 8 meters deep anymore. We're putting the pipe slightly deeper with a French drain underneath it. You will also see on my next, if I may, Madam Chair, on my next point, if I may.
Yes, can we just note the first one, G1? Can we note that? Then we will go straight into G2. Councillor?
Yes.
Speaker, I will propose.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Alderman Pietro. Pietri, can we get a proposal? For the first one, a seconder. My apologies, a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Jobiet. Now you may proceed to G2. Mr. Daniels?
Thank you very much for that one. As you can see on G2, councillors and colleagues, province brought out a whole list of all the flood damages that we reported on. And the first one, not the first one, but Madiba Road is on there. And Madiba Road would have been put out by a contractor. And if a contractor would have done Madiba Road, it would have taken 6 months due to your procurement and everything. So Garden Route actually stepped in there and said, we're going to do it in-house because we will be able to do it a lot quicker. There you will see there in the second column, there's a lot of flood damages that's going to be outsourced by a contractor via province. And there's a couple of which Garden Route will do in-house. So that's just for council to note that Garden Route will do a lot of these flood damage roads for us in-house. And also, I must also allude to the fact that that because it's taking such a long time, what we decided by our Department of Roads and also with the District Roads Engineer, that we're gonna loosen 2 teams. That's the small section re-gravel teams, and they will just concentrate on flood damages for the next 6 months. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions before we go to taking note? Any questions? Everybody's covered? Then we can we take note? Thank you, Councillor Pietro Terblanche. Thank you, Councillor Jobier. Councillors, we're moving to section 8, page 1. The report from Councillor Myron.
Just for clarity, I don't think we proposed and seconded the community services report. If we have not, then I would like to propose that.
That's an update on the report on the actions taken by the district command. Yes?
Correct.
Can you proceed?
I'll propose it.
Thank you. And can we get a second for F1? Thank you, Councillor Joby. So we at section 8. Thank you for pointing that out, Councillor. Section H, report on the Garden Route Film Commission Board of Directors, page 374, 3 to 377. And there's a recommendation on page 375 that council nominate 2 councillors from the District Economic Development and Tourism Portfolio Committee to serve on the Garden Route Film Commission Board. I've noted your hand. And Councillor Lechaba, first you, Councillor Lambajin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes, Madam Speaker, I was just going to go directly into the recommendations on page 375, whereby the recommendation as well outlines ask for 2 names for representing the Garden on this board. And I would like to, if the 2 names from our side, it is Councillor Mayring, and the second one is Elder Lady, Auna Kusino. Thank you.
Do you have a second for that? Thank you, Councillor Jovier. Councillor Lechaba.
We wanted the second name to be Elder Man Decrease.
So it dankie councillors asseblief, dankie. So from Councillor Lechaba's side, it's Councillor Kobus Meyring and Councillor Alderman De Vries. Hulle wil vandag net vote. Ja. You may proceed, Elder Lady, Dragonder.
In the recommendation, it stated 2 councillors from the Economical Committee. Here is sitting the chairperson. Wie is die chairperson? Rosina, omdat jy waargeneem het.
I will Councillor Elder Lady. Elder Lady. Who is the chairperson?
Elder Lady Rosina.
Okay.
No, Rosina was not in the first meeting, so
Councillor Dai.
Ja, sy want hy. So die aanbeveling sê twee councillors van die Economic and Tourism Committee.
Julle twee. Nee.
Nee, net
Nou, sorry.
Brenda
Councillor lady. Councillor Lechaba en de Meyer. Ek weet nie wat is dit met julle twee vandag nie. They were interrupting you while you were speaking, elder lady. I'm calling them to order, those two here. Okay, so the question from the councillor is, the recommendation says that it must be district councillors from the District Economic Development and Tourism Portfolio Committee. The two councillors that was nominated, are they serving on that committee? Meyer?
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we are very flexible. I'm looking at you, Madam Speaker, because I don't want to look straight. Madam Speaker, recommendations are just recommendations. We deal with personal experience as well. The councillors that has been nominated, they have experience in that field, and we need the people who are best suited for that, and this is why these two names came up.
That is now the names that you have given us, Councillor Kobus Meyren and Elder Lady Kritzinger. Councillor Lechaba.
I think I want to plead with the
lady Dragoner.
I think I want to plead with council. We should not be short-sighted when we are doing things, because we are a district that we have been seen that we are doing things in a different way, not to the detriment, but to the
Councillors, please.
protection.
Councillors, the councillor is on the floor. Please don't interject.
Not to the detriment, because there's a lot of things can happen. If we start in this manner, we have seen in the last, because I've got to say this on record, so that when we do understand that when certain things happen, then you cannot come and tell us, we say, please intervene, let us work together. We are saying that let us work together. It is for the betterment of our people, is the betterment of this council as well. So I am pleading to say, let us not just the winner take it all, but the inclusiveness. It is very important, and also in building our communities out there. That's my plea.
Mr. Meyer, look at me.
Madam Speaker, I am now going to,
Elder Lady Kritzinger, please.
Madam Speaker, I'm now going to say something that's going to throw me under the bus after I've said this. Madam Speaker, and through you, Madam Speaker, to the Chief of the African National Congress, what you've just said, you must bear that in mind at all times going forward, But I had lunch with your team members this afternoon, and they explained to me what have disappointed us this morning. So going forward, we really need to portray what we used to do in the past. So I'm going to amend the recommendation, and I'm going to get eaten after this, Madam Speaker. I would then amend the recommendation that we appoint 3 councillors to that film office. 2 has been already been nominated, and the African National Congress can make their nominee.
Just for my own clarity, please, before I allow any other councillor, may I switch off your mic, thank you. Can council nominate any amount of councillors? There's no prescription. There's no prescribed. Alderman De Vries, and then Alder Lady Dragoner, and then Alderman Gierke.
Speaker, let me talk as a former.
This side of the house, this side of the house, do you want to have a caucus? Because you are now caucusing there amongst yourself. Anku Baker and Joviet and Councillor Lambertine, do you want to go for a caucus?
Speaker, as a former member of that commission, the terms of reference or the articles in which they are established, according to my, but Mr. Menji can correct me, there's only provision for 2 seats for council. So I don't believe that we should, although we started the Film Commission as or we encourage it, it was established actually by the private sector, and on our request, they then allow 2 seats for council. So we cannot put more directors on there than what is needed. So I think that there's a proposal, unless council decide to engage, and because we do fund the fully that institution.
Elder Lady Dragoner. First Councillor Lechaba, then Elder Lady Dragoner. She's allowing you, Elder Lady.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. U weet, ek neem eksepsie. En die rede hoekom ek eksepsie neem is dat ons is in komitees ingedeel. En jy het jou voorkeure gegee of vorentoe geneem op watter komitees jy ook al insaag wil hê. En ek neem aan, ek sê nie dit is so nie, maar ek neem aan dat die chairperson van die komitee nie eens geken gewees het in die nominasie van mense nie. So, Honorable Speaker, kan jy dit beskerm teen daai vrou?
And you must give me the point of order, Councillor, please. Don't speak about she's a councillor.
Honorable Older Lady Kritsner. En ons is op komitees ingedien. Waar het ons sit op komitees, en ek praat nie spesifiek van myself nie, maar waar het ons sit op komitees, as ons explore word, daar waar die komitees verhaai het. En ek dink, dit sou net reg gewees het, om die item na die komitee, artikel 80 komitee toe gebring het, waarvan dat dan daar een besluiting geneem is, die wat het vir raadslid en raadslid, dat is raadslidleider nie? Nee? Jy is op die komitee. So ek neem nie exceptie rondom dit nie. Maar die ander lede, ek vraag weer vir u, Honorable Speaker, u moet vir my sê vandag, wat is die nieuws in u liste onder my? Wat is die nieuws van committees wat jy ingedeel is? As jy die committees nergens kan gaan verteenwoordig nie, en alle raadslede moet na die committees toe waar die OPA is, moet hulle gaan die voor asseblief.
Onesile. Onesile must first translate. Thank you. Then we will proceed.
Speaker, sisonke ke sikwinkomite ezahlukileyo nanjengoko nazo usazi, kodwa ke somlando kuyedwa ntoni kuhlala ikomiti xa amalungu ekomiti izinto ezayamana kwikomiti xa ifakwa yona kwezinye komiti, kodwa ke ndifuna nje ukwenene kwazi ukuba kunceda ntoni ukuba ubani aphe ikomiti kodwa akazohlala kwizinto ezayamanisa nekomiti ezikhulisa namalungu ekomiti. Enkosi.
Before we proceed, I've got in the following order Councillor Chaba, Alderman Gierke, and Elder Lady Kritzinger. But I'm first going to the mayor then. I'm first going to allow Melanie, and then we're going to proceed. Not memory, Melanie. Melanie Wilson.
Good afternoon, Speaker. Can you hear me?
Yes, you may proceed, Melanie.
Yeah, thank you, Speaker. Speaker, there is space in the Film Board Commission, on the Film Commission Board, sorry, for municipalities that is contributing to the Film Office, and currently it's Mossel Bay and ourselves, but there's no documentation that says we are limited to 2. But what we in the past we recommended to, as we saw it fit for 2 people to serve on the board. But there is no documentation that says it must only be 2 councillors. I just wanted to clarify that, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Melanie. So we will go in the following order. Councillor Lechaba, Alderman Gericke, Alder Lady Kritzinger, the Mayor, and then Councillor Chengwa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. There was a proposal for three. We accept that proposal. Thank you. As per the explanation given by the official. Thank you.
Alderman Gericke.
Yeah, so Speaker, let me stand if I address this issue. We accept one another's bona fides and integrity in this council when we bring items to this council. So if the recommendation reads that council nominates 2 councillors from the District Economic Development and Tourism Portfolio Committee to serve on the Garden Road Film Commission Board, and the recommendation indeed says 2 councillors from the District Economic Development and Tourism Committees, 2 councillors. This is what the recommendation says. So we work on the recommendation also in terms of what the rules of order says. So we cannot come here to council, regardless of our titles, respectfully to you, Mr. Mayor, and then change recommendations willy-nilly as we want to, and then think we must all just agree on that. That's the one thing. We must stick to the recommendation. Otherwise, we must bring a formal amendment to the recommendation so that the recommendation is formally amended. That's the procedure. And then we can agree. Now, I served on this committee, and you will notice that I have showed no interest anymore to serve on that committee because there's always a struggle in that committee. It's about them and us. And here you can see, and what everybody else is scared to say, again, respectfully towards the councils. And I have nothing against any councillor, but it goes beyond my comprehension why it should only be 2 white councillors. What is the thing with it? Why? Because, and you can pull your faces, but you are playing the race card here by excluding other people from that committee. This is exactly what is happening here. And now suddenly we want to sneak in another councillor, 3rd councillor, which is supposedly colored or black, sneak him in to bring some balance to the committee. No, if we want to be transformed and we want to have a right approach, then we must be upfront and we must say, okay, it's going to be a transformed nomination. It's going to be black, it's going to be a woman, it's going to be white, it's going to be a man. Something like that. But we cannot just come here and do the recommendations as we want to and change recommendations and think we must all just go with it. It's not fair. It's really not fair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gericke. Now it's your turn, Elder Lady Kritzinger.
Madam Speaker, ek wil regtig, nou praat ek Afrikaans want ek dink dit is nie vandag moedertaaldag op nie, as far as I can remember. Ek maak ten sterkste beswaar teen hierdie aantuigings wat hier gemaak word van vandag. As raadslede nie deel is van the ruling party, the majority of the ruling party, how do they want to dictate to our caucus how we've got to make decisions? Dit is nie waaroor dit gaan nie. En hoe kan mense hier kom sit en kom clear voorstel of kom clear voorsê en vir dinge sê and say things are done in this community of in this council, it's an embarrassment and it's an insult to this council to say that things are done according to color and skin colors. So ek dink regtig ek neem sterk eksepsie teen dit en daar is nie dinge in nie want dit is ongevraagd. Ons is nie hier om kleur te bespreek of enigiets in die lyn. En in alle geval maak ons grondwet nie voorsiening vir mense met een kleur en met 'n ander kleur meer voorregte as ander mense nie. So ek maak ten sterkste aanspraak daarop want hierdie is wat vandag hier gesê word is 'n belediging vir hierdie raad.
Translate, please. I note your hand, Councillor Gericke. First translate. Thank you.
Somlamo Nkosi, okokuqala somlamo zovakalisa nje ukukhathazeka kakhulu ungaxoli ngeethetha zezitsholo ezivakale zenziwa ngoceba. Namhlanje namhlanje ke lusuku lobana kuthethwe iilwimi zethu kodwa ke ndizawuthetha ngelwimi nam ngokuvakalisa torhwane ke ungavi kamandi ngeentetho ezenzekileyo. Somlamo umbutho ophikisayo kuyakufuneka into yobana athobele izigqibo ezenziwa ngumbutho oselulawulweni ngezigqibo ezifanele umbutho oselulawulweni. Somlamo indikhathaza ngamandla kakhulu nyhani into yobana utyholwe ngezidibene nebala lethu sibe kanti asibe kule ntetho ke namhlanje kodwa ke masingalithethe imvakalo yobana andikho mhle mphefumlo ngokwenyene xana kuzoba kunezityholo neentetha ezidibene nobana izigqibo ezikhatyathwayo apha zize yamenyiswa nokuhlanga. Enkosi.
Councillor Gerard.
Speaker, if I am wrong, then I ask you, I actually urge you to charge me if I have transgressed any policy. Race has become inherently part of our political agenda of this country. And this council should not be used to stifle debate when we talk about race and equality. This is the politics of the day, and you can take offense and acceptance as what you like to. We will discuss race, we will debate color, as long as we are in this council, it has become part of the political discourse, main discourse of this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Elder Lady Dragoner.
Ik weet dat de ruling party en dat oppositie. I know it. I'm coming from there. Wat ik sê in die ruling party kan besluit whatever hulle wil besluit. Maar daar's ook lede van die Economic and Tourism Committee binne die ruling party. Why people bring from committees? Why do you sit with councillors that is on that committee? And dit is nou my denke vir my kwaadrak net soos jy wil. Dit is vir my onaanvaarbaar.
Dankie, Raadslid.
Thank you.
Elder Lady Rosina. Councillors, I think we must come to a conclusion now. We've exhausted this debate. So, Councillor, if needs be, then we're going to the vote. Councillor Rosina.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as the chairperson of the committee,
Can you find Councillor Chengwa?
I propose that Councillor Kritsina represent me because of the meetings at night time in George, and Councillor Krishna are a secondary on the committee and make a part of the committee of the Economic Development Committee, and that's why
Thank you. Councillors, please, councillors, let's get order, please. Thank you. So, Councillor, what you are saying, you're giving reasons why Councillor Kritzinger has been nominated as the chairperson of that committee. Am I understanding you correctly?
Yeah. And she is a secondary on the committee.
Yes, you may proceed. I see you, Councillor. Chengwa?
No, Speaker. Speaker, I think we need to proceed on this issue. You know, there was only one proposal from the mayor, and that proposal was seconded, that we add another council, which is the councillor next to me. Let's not to waste time and energy, Speaker. Let's move on this item. There's 3 councillors now.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
you see, adding onto that, Melanie have just advised us further to say there's no limit in terms of this committee. You know, I mean, we can even add Messia Drachuner to be a 4th member. So I think, Speaker, let's move on this.
Thank you, councillors. Thank you. Mayor, can you just repeat your proposal that you have put on the table? And I didn't note down your seconder. Can we just get that seconder as well?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my proposal was instead of 2, we make it 3. The 2 has already been nominated from this side of the council chambers. And on that side of the council chambers, if I vividly remember, they recommended Alderman De Vries. And the rider that I wanted to put to this is that where we fund, we dictate. Amen.
Mayor, who was your seconder?
My second is Lampies.
Can he just speak for?
Yes.
Can we then go with that recommendation, please? Thank you. As proposed by the mayor and seconded that the 3 councillors will be Councillor Kobus Meyering, Elder Lady Kritzinger, and Alderman De Vries. Thank you. Thank you. We're done with that item. Yes. Can we just vote, the councillors vote against that, please? Elder Lady Drachuner. Councillor, we section I, notice of motion, there is none. Section J, Notice of motions. None. Section K. We are now going to go in closed session. So thank you very much for everybody that tuned in online. Members of the public, this brings us to the end of our open meeting. We are now going to move into closed session. Thank you for listening to the debates. The open part of the meeting is adjourned, and councillors, we're not going to break. We're not going to break. Can we please proceed? It's already late in the day. I know all of us are tired. Can everybody that needs to exit